I watched a documentary about Miles Davis's Kind of Blue.
Okay.
And how they made that album, essentially. One of the things that struck me about the documentary is how Miles Davis didn't really have all of the songs written out. He had like frameworks, structures of the songs. And he did that deliberately because he felt that when you get the right people in the room, they will deliver. So you have a framework, but you leave room to let.
That's the jazziest thing you can do.
Right? And as a result of that, we get fucking Kind of Blue.
Yep. That's the most jazz thing you can do.
That's what I'm attempting to do with Tune the Fork.
Okay.
This conversation, this space, blah, blah, blah.
Got you.
I had an idea of a framework. But I want to change it.
Okay.
And what made me want to change it was your text message this morning.
Oh, about being able to move. Yeah.
And that hit me, bro.
Okay.
In a very deep way. And I was talking to him. Zendo was here at the time. And I just had to sit with that. And what I was sitting with, and I just need a minute, bro, for real.
Yeah.
You hear people say shit like, kids repeat what they hear and they mimic what they see.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a lot of examples of good dads growing up. My dad was amazing for what he could be in that moment, but I saw kinks in his armor to some degree just because of proximity, what I was hearing from my mom, and some of it just didn't add up. You were one of the first brothers, bro, that I met doing fatherhood in a way that just felt extremely intentional, selfless, and it felt closer to more congruent with what I feel I would have tried to be a dad as. You had this element of artistry. You got this purpose that you're driving towards. You got this wife. You got these two twin boys. And you figuring out a way to balance all of that. And then you got community, which is a larger umbrella of things. And I've always admired you from afar.
Appreciate that. Thank you, bro.
For how you've done that. And when your text message came in, it was like, damn, this dude is human. That's how I felt. Not to say that I didn't know you were human before, but it was a reminder to me that there's more to living than just, the images that we have of people in our minds. And I didn't really have a lot of room for that in the conversation. So, with your permission, I just wanted to create a little space, bro.
No, that works. Are you recording now? Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. That's fine. It's nothing. I have an agenda as an artist and as a business person of things I want to put out and things I want to say in public and have conversations about. But all of it is tied to my real life in some way. So it's never off on a tangent.
Okay.
I appreciate what you said about seeing me as a father. I feel and the older I know, the more I know that everybody around me was dealing with their own issues and trying to be the best men and women they could be. But like, part of the project I was playing for you is me just bragging about coming from PG County and being around good dads all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, my dad was a great dad, and then I would go to Boys and Girls Club, and there were a bunch of great dads, and I would go to church, and there was a bunch of great dads, and you know what I'm saying? So it was like, I'm literally just trying to be like the men around me, and I judge being a good father on effort more than results. Results do matter, but life be lifing, bruh. You know what I'm saying? So I give a lot of brothers grace on like, on results based on if I feel like their heart and their intention is in the right place. And I'm fortunate to be, I feel like my heart is in the right place and I have the right resources around me.
Yeah.
And hopefully, you know, it's turning out well. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I've got grown friends who all got kids and they all got their own story and they all got their own drama. The drama with the parents and the other parent, the drama with the psychological, emotional, physical stuff with the child. It's not an easy thing. And so, yeah, I'm fortunate that I represent fatherhood enough to know that men who aren't good fathers don't let me know that they're not good fathers. You know what I'm saying? I'm positive just because of numbers, there has to be some bad fathers around me.
You don't know about it.
I don't know about it. And they, you know what I'm saying? I think they know that I should know about that shit. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah. So, and if you did know, what would you do?
I mean, if we're close, if I feel like close enough to have a conversation where I find something else about them personally, I would try to figure out how to be hopeful. Because I know people who are in bad father situations who I feel like are trying to be good fathers. And so I offer advice, I offer support, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know any guys who are ignoring their children. I know men who don't get to see their children the way they want. And, you know, I also understand that women joke all the time about men who want to call and yell at their baby mama, like, why won't you let me see my kids? Because their girlfriend is there and they, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I don't know the whole story, but like I said, the men around me I know are working. They're struggling. They share with me their joy and their pain, but they want to be dads. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not around guys who don't want to be dads. I am not a self-made man. I am a product of my village. I am the result of all the people you see around me. And I think the talent or the gift that I might have is on articulating the situation we come from, but I am just articulating the situation a bunch of us come from. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it feels good to be in that situation.
And you articulate that through the word, through lyrics, through poems. Mm-hmm. We're about to approach the 20-year anniversary of Read a Book.
It is definitely, to figure out exactly what it is gonna take a little math because like we're about 18 years away from it being on BET, but it existed like a year before that. So I need to go back to my MySpace page.
Like 2006, right?
Yeah, 2006 is when it was born and when it was created. And it was a blessing, and it is completely. I talked. Me and my man Mellow D, Darnley Hodge, Imagination Inc. Between Read a Book and a song I did with him called "Cool with You," where he did all the promotion and marketing for, and it reached like college radio charts. So like I did that song in collaboration with him because we had bands that were touring, like did stuff together, and then I had Read a Book. So in a year, both of those songs came out. And it gave me a false sense of security on how easy it would be to be a full-time artist, which was necessary at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like I have not reached, I make more money now than I did then, but I hadn't reached the popularity that I did in that moment. But I needed that moment to be like, hey, this is where you could be. Also, I needed that moment to be like, don't chase this. Like I know people who are trying to go viral. I went viral without trying, and now I'm over the viral thing, and I think that makes me a better artist. You know what I'm saying? I'm
because that was viral. So
YouTube started like a year and a half before Read a Book went viral on YouTube. So I'm like OG viral. You know what I'm saying? Like
before algorithms was really doing their thing.
Before the algorithms rhythming, I was I was hitting people, and
I like that.
And so, but I also like I didn't have a roadmap. I spent way too much time in the basement of our audio video production studio reading the comments on Read a Book. Like now, 20 years later, I know the comment section is a cesspool. The comment section was a new thing when I was in the middle of the comment section. I was taking, there would be like 14-year-old white kids in Kansas, like sending me racist messages based off Read a Book, and I was responding it way too much. I was like, it mattered way too much.
You were tapped in.
Because I was tapped in and it was a new thing. I was like, oh, these are people I need to respond to. And now that it's 2025, we're like, oh, this is the comment section. You know what I'm saying? Respond to the comment section at your own leisure, at your own risk. But in 2006, 2008, 2009, I'm like, hey, how does this work? You know what I'm saying? And I also got offered a bunch of opportunities to basically do Read a Book Part 2, Part 3, Part 4. And I turned them down because I didn't want to force it. Like, I don't mind, as I was bragging earlier, I brag about coming from Black culture. I brag about coming from PG County, DC, via South Carolina. I love Black culture. I tease and make fun of Black culture because I'm used to being around Black people and making Black jokes around Black people about Black stuff. But we all know we love Black people. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
When Read a Book went viral, I had cousins call me from Ohio, like, yo, this is amazing, right? And they would be like, but what about what the white people think? And I'm like, what do you mean, what about what the white people think? When does that, but I was like, oh no, I'm not in their space.
Yeah.
I'm not in their space. And I was like, oh, like, I don't mind my art being taken, like I can't control what happens when the art leaves me, right? But I don't want to I don't want my cultural mark be that I spend all my time mocking and making fun of Black culture. I wanted to actually make Black culture. You know what I'm saying? Rather than, and so I am open and up for opportunities to be sarcastic and make parodies about Black culture, but I'm not like, people sit down and all day, every day, how do I make fun of Black people? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I'm like, no, that's not the legacy I wanted to leave. Like I said, my comfortability lets me do it when I feel comfortable doing it, but now I'm more aware of it, and I'm like, I still very adamantly make sure that I don't care what white people think, but I do care what Black people experience who have to deal with white people. And so I keep that in mind as I release what I release. But if I find myself being like, oh, don't do that, because white people, I'm like, oh, Bomani, like do some push-ups while saying Denmark Vesey, like, you know what I'm saying, 20 times. Like, get that out your system. Like, we're not making moves. We're not making moves based on how they react.
These kind of relationships make you disturbed when we don't take the time to know what it is to sing, to know how to get close to the mic again. But it's singing doesn't make it happen, or maybe.
The man you guys are listening to is a father. He's an educator. He's a producer. He's known as Mr. Black Powell. Mr. Read a Book. D-Mite.
There you go.
Used to be Daryl Hancock.
Very much. Still Daryl, but not the Hancock part.
Okay.
Yep. You got it.
Beautiful brother, Bomani Armah, man. Thank you for joining and coming on, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Bomani Armah, aka the Watermelon Man.
Oh, the watermelon. I left the main one
it's
out.
It's quite all right. That gave me an opportunity.
My bad. That is D1.
That's the one we're working on right now. Yep.
The Watermelon Man, and that's the one. We're coming up. We're getting ready to have a
Watermelon Day.
Watermelon Day. Yep. August 3rd, 2nd.
August 2nd, whatever the Saturday is.
The first Saturday of August is Watermelon Day.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that.
Cool.
I wanted to make sure that we got anybody watching this are going to know who you are, bro.
Got you. Appreciate that.
I wanted to highlight that because I did want to spend a little bit of time on the Read a Book piece. and kind of juxtapose that between what you did in 2006 from a satirical standpoint to kind of like where it's gone now with music. I feel like what you were satirizing
Yeah.
was like,
yeah.
that's what it
That's what it
actually
is. Yeah.
It's the musical version of Idiocracy.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about current music?
So my thoughts on current music. So I think I've naturally aged out of current music. You know what I'm saying? I was born in 1978. Ain't but so long is but like I keep up with music. I'm not too old to be relevant, but like the radio is not after me anymore. I'm not the ear that they are after. So I think I've naturally aged out. But also the music industry and how we consume music has changed. There used to be a common playlist. There used to be everybody, like there were 10 to 20 to 30 songs that everyone heard all the time. They still make the Billboard list off of it, but because of how music is made, everyone has their own curated playlist. And you're only hearing what you want to hear. So they're saying, I don't know how often you DJ now, but like DJs are saying they're having a problem affecting the younger crowd because there isn't a list of songs that everyone knows. There's a list of songs from, you can go 90s, 80s, 70s, 2000s up to 2010s, and like there's 4 or 5 songs from every year that everybody knows. But now, since everyone has their own personally curated playlist, it's hard to find the thing that the audience is into, and that has changed. I'm disappointed when I hear stuff when I accidentally turn to the radio, when my sons get in the car, and because I make music and because I'm an educator, they intentionally put the aux cord and put the worst music they can play. Like they're just messing with me on purpose. When I get into the car and they're driving before I got there, they're listening to New Edition and Stevie Wonder and you know what I'm saying? And modern stuff that's good, but just to mess with me. Yeah. They know what messes with me. And so I'm disappointed at how many rappers don't rap to the beat. I'm disappointed at how many of them, like they must be 18, but they sound 12. I'm not thoroughly disappointed because I know pop music and hip hop aren't the same thing. Like I meet enough real life rappers and I've literally raised enough rappers where I know the 16 to 20 to 26 year olds are gonna be all right. But like what's intentionally fed into the algorithm is weird. It's people bragging about not taking the art form seriously. People bragging about just pressing record and going, and those people getting rewarded. Like I said, I'm not gonna be one of those old heads and be like, that's what music is. I know 16-year-olds who can rap. I know 16-year-olds making really good music. So I don't have fear for the generation, but I do have fear for how the commercial industry is shaping up.
And when you did read a book, that's kind of what I felt you were poking at, right? Because it was an exaggerated.
It was Lil Jon, and I'm go-go gospel all day. You get a black man on the microphone yelling instructions, I see the power. And I like the power, and I live in that power, and I try to tap into that power. I respect what Lil Jon accomplished. My friends and I was in a band called 420 Louder. My best friend that I've had one of my best friends since 10th grade, I was in a band where I was the drummer and his younger brother was the MC. And I was doing poetry a little bit, but drumming. But we were listening, we were in the middle of Lil Jon running the world. And we tried to break down why Crunk was crushing it the way it was. And my man Marcus, the lead rapper in my group, was like, Crunk is about yelling, avoiding rhyming as much as possible, and cursing as often as possible. If you do those 3 things, it's a Crunk song. I was like, well, if that's the case, you can yell positive stuff. And so we were joking about, raise your kids, you know what I'm saying, buy some land. And we joked about that for a couple of weeks. We'd be in his basement chilling, in Everett's basement chilling, joking about it. And then one day, I just went READABO. Okay. I was like, oh, this is the thing. And then I took Beethoven's Fifth, turned it into a crunk beat, did this over it. I brought the teens that I worked with at Martha's Table to yell into the microphone one evening as we had like a barbecue at the studio that I worked at, and I put it on MySpace. And it took off on its own. It's like I said, this is before viral was a thing, so this was like legitimately viral. And it took off on its own, and it made it to the desk of BET, and they gave me a call and asked permission to turn it into a music video.
Oh, they're the ones who did that music video?
BET created the music video. I bootlegged it because they were having cold feet and weren't going to release it. I don't know if you remember at the time, but NY Oil, another rapper, and we still stay in contact on social media, released a song called "You Should All Get Lynched," and they did a song about this. And it's him, like, mine was making a satirical. He was saying the same thing I was saying, but it went viral, MySpace, and the animation department turned that song into a video. Took forever to release it, and then when they released it, they got a lot of negative backlash. I mean, they were looking, the animation department was trying to change BET, and they wanted to use our music to do so. I was down for the cause. They released Y'all Should All Get Lynched, got a bunch of negative feedback, and so I felt like they were never gonna release Read a Book. And so I put it on YouTube. And then once it had a couple million views on YouTube, they were like, this is our property, let's put it out there. So like, technically, BET owns the visuals, I own the audio.
So that's why it's 2007 on BET, because the delay.
It took a while for them to develop it, yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So you are like in the 19th year and some months on
it's coming
this
up on
thing
20, like,
actually.
Yeah, it's really, it's closer to 20 than it is. Like BET is 17 or 18, but the song is closer to 20. Definitely closer to 20. And you know, it was the perfect culmination of everything I was doing. I was an independent artist trying to make it with my band that we thought had a chance to make it. As my part-time job, I was working in an after-school program with teenagers. And so I've always thought, like, I wanted to be an artist, and I want to be the artist that I am now. I am a teaching artist, and I do it full time. I don't have any other jobs. It's how I pay my bills. And that's who I wanted to be 20 years ago. And Read a Book was the beginning of me trying to figure that out. But it became a whole thing on its own. And now, like, I get paid, I get flown out to teach teachers how to use hip hop in the classroom. And it's completely unrelated to Read a Book. Like, a lot of people think that, like, and when you think about it, it doesn't make sense. Like, I don't go to a principal's office and like, let me come teach your kids, Read a Book. Like, that's not how this has worked. I was working to get into the classroom at the same time I was doing Read a Book, and that hit on its own. You know what I'm saying? And so there's a lot of teachers who don't know that I'm Mr. Read a Book until I've been working with them for 3 or 4 years. And they're like, oh my God. The group that brings me out to Missouri, they didn't know I was Mr. Read a Book until a parent Googled me and sent it to the Board of Education. And it was like, is this the guy you're coming to perform for my kids? And they, without talking to me, said, well, he's an adult and he can do things in his adult time that he wants. When he comes to talk to the kids, that's not what he does.
Yeah.
And I was like, thank y'all. Like, that's the most logical freaking answer. Thank you.
And it was 20 years ago. How about that?
My boy pointed out, like, at this stage in my life, if you Google me and find Read a Book, you're on page 8 of Google. You Googled my name and you went through a bunch of stuff. So this parent was trying to find, you know what I'm saying? And so, and I don't mind it. I don't mind the conversation and the questions. And it's like, but literally I've never, like, and because the Board of Education people were like, I don't even know what that is. Like, that's obviously Bomani. They played us the video. Then they played us the interview on BET. That is obviously the man that we brought in here, but nothing that we've interacted with him has ever been anything about that. And that must be something that he did as an artist. And they answered that whole question and then just told me about it later. And I was like, thank you. That teachers and educators had my back on that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I listened to some old Michael Bay's, some old interviews back then at that time. One of which was Michael Bay's in it. He was having folks call in.
Yeah. He was disappointed.
He was
he thought the people were gonna have his back,
but they were on your side. And this is so. Read a Book. You gotta just look it up. I don't want to spend a lot of time explaining to motherfuckers what it is. But what I appreciated about it is all the people who were working with kids were calling in and saying, I think this is, I
Where
get
we
it.
are.
So the feeling I got from those people calling in was, we're losing our children to a force that is bigger than anybody is really connected to if you're not in these classrooms with these kids. You obviously could feel it back then. What's going on in the classrooms, bro?
Honestly, we just need to, America needs to stop lying to itself about prioritizing children. America doesn't prioritize children. America prioritizes money. If we prioritize children, we would, when I become president, we're gonna double all the teachers' salaries and we're gonna cut all the class sizes in half. How we're gonna pay for it? We're gonna declare war on ignorance. When we declare war on stuff, we write blank checks and we don't audit. When we declare war on stuff, we just throw money. So we're gonna declare war on ignorance. Our schools really exist to give kids somewhere to be while their parents are at work. If you are fortunate enough and you've made it to a point in American society where you live in a middle class, upper middle class neighborhood to upper, then you can send your kids someplace where they really try to find their talents and their gifts and push them and help them matriculate through the system. If you make a certain income and below, it's really just a holding space. And the teachers there are trying. The teachers are the salt of the earth, but we don't spend enough money per student to really make an effect. And we operate a whole culture that's money first. And so there's a whole generation that's just clocking into school to just be caged away. I grew up in PG County. I'm in a space that's right where it's shifting from one to the other. You know what I'm saying? I had teachers who really cared, and I had parents who really cared, and I had classmates parents who really cared, and that affects everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you have 20 kids in the class and that's 40 parents, and if you have at least 30 of them, 25 of them care, that affects all of the kids.
All of them.
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? And so as a culture, we're not in the space where we prioritize children. We say it all the time. We talk about protecting life and all the time, but we don't really prioritize children. And so I'm fortunate where I am in my career is that I am brought into places where people really prioritize children. That's why they bring me in. They're like, look, we see something here. We understand the power of rhythm, rhyme, and repetition that you talk about when you're doing your speeches to teachers. And we want to use that with our kids because our kids, rhyme gets stuck in their head, repetition gets stuck in their head. How do we tap into that as a thing? You know what I'm saying? I was just at the University of Montana last week working with teachers in the education department, trying to figure out how to tap into that power and use that power. You know, commercial entities know rhythm, rhyme, and repetition work. That's why they pump all this, how to be a better commercial, a cog in the commercial wheel. That you have to buy cars, you have to buy clothes, you have to be fresh, you have to be tight. It doesn't really matter if you learn anything, you just gotta make sure you're keeping up with the Joneses. And so there's no quick solution to it. It's a generational game. We have to my favorite quote from John Henry Clark, we must start projects our grandchildren will finish. And we have a problem. We meet students who have problems and we want to yell at their parents. But say, for instance, you said read a book was 20 years ago now, right? If I'm meeting a 7, 8-year-old who's having problems, their parent was 12, 20 years ago. And they have a negative interaction with education. They haven't, you know what I'm saying? And so to deal with that child, I can't just deal with that child. I got to deal with their parent. I got to deal with their grandparents. I got to deal with a community that for decades or for generations were like, the school system is the adversary. The school system told me I was dumb. The school system told me I needed to sit down and be quiet when all I wanted to do was move around a little bit. And we're like 3, 4, 5, 6 generations deep in that. And so I can't change that in one moment. You know what I'm saying? I got to figure out how to make a game plan that's generational so that we make a change in how we all think about our education. I am fortunate. The people who can afford me bring me in, and I work with a whole bunch of well-resourced, well-adjusted kids. And I'm working with organizations that get grant money, and sometimes I just cut my prices, and I work in places where they don't have the same resources. And I realize I need to be there too, and I need to find a way to take, you know what I'm saying, to be there and just make those little moments where kids have a little changes in how they feel about education. And we do this generationally, like
Dude,
a long period of time.
Let me ask you, bro. I went to your dad's funeral because I wanted to know the man that you came from, bro.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Like when I see you, I'll be like, because you got something. And you can tell that you got something. Mm-hmm. And I'm always curious to be like, where the fuck you get that from?
Gotcha.
Like, where'd that come from? And I was like, maybe I could glean a little bit from the stories of his dad. And, you know, people talk about, you know, like the kind of man that he was. Where did you get this, bro? Did you come here with it? Like what? Not everybody has committed to the long road, difficult road that you're on.
One of the coolest things about my dad is that my dad wanted to be a dad. Like a lot of dads want to be dads, but a lot of dads, like the dad thing happened. And I think my dad sort of a little bit wanted to be a dad. And then in knowing the history of my parents, like I'm their oldest child, their first child. My parents got married at 21. They had me at 30. They were trying for a while. My mother calls me her miracle baby. So my parents, so I think my dad would have always been a good dad, but my dad really wanted to be a dad. And so when I came around, boom, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's a key element. You know what I'm saying? That's
he was happy to see you.
He was happy to see me. Yeah, he wanted to be there. He didn't mind working 12, 14 hours at a job and then not going to sleep when he got home and helping me with my science projects, because that's where he wanted to be there. It wasn't him. It wasn't taxing him. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, I got to go see these kids. It's like, I feel the same thing towards my children. Crucial thing. One of the things I remember, and when I eulogized him, I talked about it a lot because I felt like it was very crucial. My dad never gave me the "I brought you into this world, I could take you out." My dad never gave me "You owe me for all I did for you." My dad had the attitude I think parents should have, and that is like, it was my decision to bring you into the world. I owe you. I've got your back. Whatever. Like, I want you to be independent. I want you to make your own moves. I want you to make your own mistakes. But if you get in trouble, come to me. I will help you. There is no like, you're not in this by yourself. I brought you here. The world is crazy. I knew it was crazy when I brought you here. And so I'm committed to being there for you through this entire trip. And I hear people talk about their parents, and that's not always the commitment they've gotten from their parents. You know what I'm saying? And that completely, I wouldn't be an independent artist if my dad through my 20s wasn't helping me out. Elon Musk wouldn't be who he is. Donald Trump would not be who he is if they didn't have parents with huge money. My parents didn't have huge money. I asked my father to invest in my second album, and he was like, son, I don't know enough about music to make an investment. If you need somewhere to stay, you can come home and not pay rent. And then you do whatever you know what I'm saying? Like, my house is your house. You can come here and spend all the money you spending on rent to promote the album. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's the kind of dad I had. You know what I'm saying? And so that made all the difference in the world. And so I'm definitely, my sons have no pressure to get out of my house. They have no, my sons understand, I think they understand time. And they understand, like, you know, sometimes hits you when people die and things change and you have to be a grown up at 18. But I'm like, I wasn't a grown up till like 25, 26. And I'm giving my sons that space. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what it is.
And they are well adjusted, man. Like,
thank you. Appreciate it.
Funny as hell, got all the energy in the world, smart.
They got the combination of mine and their mother's sarcasm, which is great when it's on other people. I love watching them interact with other people. And then they say something to me. I'm like, oh, that is so me. Why am I bringing me back to me? Like, I don't need.
So the community piece thing, though, that's like a cherry on top of all of that.
Yeah.
That's pop too, or is that
That's
some?
pop. I mean, that's mom and pop. So I just got finished reading In Search of Other Suns. It's a story of the Great Migration.
Okay.
Like early 19th, this lady followed 4 different people from different spots in the South as they moved north. And reading it just put a whole bunch of insight on like my mother and father's side of the family are both from the same place in South Carolina. They didn't meet in South Carolina. Her family migrated north, and then when my father came north to DC to go to Howard, they met. But if you talk to enough, I don't know, I mean, it's 2025, I don't know how different it is, but if you talk to somebody in DC long enough, you'll have a couple conversations and be like, where in the Carolinas are your folks from? And you're right, like most of the time. You know what I'm saying?
You could tell.
Yeah. So and because it's literally statistically, everybody went straight north.
Yeah.
Everybody in Chicago's from Mississippi somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Everybody in DC is from South Carolina, North Carolina somewhere. And so they came in these communities. My mother's father's generation, every one of the siblings moved to DC, and they were looking out for each other. I grew up in my great uncle's church. My father got saved dating my mom, and then at my great uncle's church, and then got brought into that whole community. You know what I'm saying? And so, I have feelings about the actual religion, but I understand community. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, the community was real, and it was thick, and it was serious, and the people in my family prided themselves on what they were able to do for the community, on how much they looked out for their church and how much they looked out for their neighbors, and that's the kind of people I am from on both sides.
Nice.
And so,
Okay.
that becomes part of it.
How did I'm a junior,
Okay.
and our father, I'm 78.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 76.
76. Okay.
So we same age.
Yeah.
Father born in 42. That name shit was pretty big back then. I think you kind of know where I'm going. How did Pops feel about you going to him and saying, Daryl's now Bomani and Hancock is now Armah?
Pops was not feeling it, and he told me that straight up. He didn't argue with me over it, but he wasn't feeling it. The person who gave me the most grief was my Uncle Alvin, my sister's brother, who, of everyone in the family, I am the most closely connected to because we are just a similar vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's one of my biggest mentors. He sat me down and told me how much I was hurting my father's feelings. And that how important it is as a father to pass on your name. My Uncle Alvin has 2 beautiful daughters, but he didn't have a son. And so I know it also, it affected him that way. You said earlier, I used to be Daryl Hancock. I'm still Daryl. I made Daryl my middle name. My parents thought about, prayed about, discussed, and decided on Daryl. My father was given Hancock. And when we go down to South Carolina and we look through the old family Bible, they had a family tree, and the furthest back it goes is to the Hancock plantation. And while I'm going through my Malcolm X phase,
I wasn't having that.
One of the most famous American names assigned in the Constitution.
John,
yeah. I was like, nah. And so I completely understand carrying on the family legacy, but our family's legacy, at least as far as the name is concerned, wasn't more than likely I should have an Igbo name if I'm carrying on a family legacy. You know what I'm saying? I changed my name to a God name because I was reading Ayikwe Armah at the time. And I loved his philosophy on how colonization hit West Africa. And I needed an African name. And I was like, boom. When I went to Ghana, one of my father's co-workers, I guess technically he's his employee, he was an accountant at the job that he worked, but my father treated everyone like co-workers. They worked together for 25, 30 years, and he retired and went back to Ghana. When I went to Ghana for the year of the return, my dad said, while you're there, you should look him up. What is his brother's name? It's not Nigel. Reuben. You should look up Reuben. And so I go and find Ruben. There's a day off. My sons are there performing in Ghana, but we have a day where everyone is on their own. So Ruben comes and picks me up. Ruben is like, yo, you have picked a Ga name. He was like, not only is it Ghanaian, it is my people. And I look at Ruben, and Ruben has tribal scars. I've known Ruben my whole life. Never noticed the tribal scars. Because like the context kind of whatever, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, I'm Ga, you picked the Ga name. I was like, when I picked the Ga name a decade ago, I really just wanted an African name and I liked what he stood for. But then as I got older, I realized if you pick an African name, you are tying into an African family and a legacy. And I'm realizing I could have gotten myself in trouble. I could have picked a name that means something to people and they're like, oh, are you one of them? And he said, nah, if you come to Ghana and you tell people why you chose your name to change to Armah, everybody will love and appreciate it. It's not a problem at all. And then I looked at him, I saw the facial scars, and he's like, I'm Ga. I was like, wait a minute, is your name Ruben? And he was like, no, my name is Nee. Now that I'm at home, my name is Nee, but when I was in the States, my name was Ruben. And we had this whole like conversation, and it's a connection and a conversation about my name I wouldn't have known unless my father made that connection. You know what I'm saying? And so like I'm cool understanding my sons know that if they change their names, they can, because we've done that. Like, don't tell people you weren't an Armah, like you aren't an Armah. Like I'm still Leah Hancock's son. I brag about him. But the whole thing of like your name saying where you're from, and I was able to track my name to the Hancock plantation, and I'm like, that's not where I'm from. You know what I'm saying? That's a stopover we made, but that's not the name I'm putting on, you know what I'm saying, my lineage from here on out. And
Did Pop used to call you Bomani?
No, he would call me son. He avoided that by calling me son. My mom would call me Bomani. My mom, and I love that because people would be like, if your mama call you Clay, I'm gonna call you Clay. And I'm like, my mama called me Bomani. My mama calls me Bomani. So I need you to call me Bomani. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, my father called me son. He just
I got you, Pop. Is that what that says a lot too.
Yeah.
I mean, even the fact that, number one, he told you how he felt. I ain't feeling it, but you know, he supports to the extent that he can. And then just by saying son, you know what I mean? And it's just
I hadn't stopped being that.
Yeah, hadn't stopped.
And like, so since I made Daryl my middle name, if you like, it doesn't happen anymore at all now because that's 20 years ago now. But like when I changed my name, if you rolled up on me and said, hey, what up, Daryl? I wasn't like, I was like, oh, you know me from Largo High School. Yeah. You know me from the University of Maryland. Now, if you said, I know you as Daryl and I'm only gonna call you Daryl, then we have a problem. Like people will be like, hey, Bomani. And I'm like, cool, no problem. I changed my name.
Yeah.
No, that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
But I only had a few people who were like, all right, Daryl, I know you, Daryl. And I'm like, nah, you're not Cassius Claying me. We're not doing that at all. You know what I'm saying? Like I told you what my name is. That's my name. And like I said, I still have some people every once in a while, they'll just be like, I know, hey, Daryl. And then they're like, oh, my bad, Bomani.
My bad.
And it's like, cool, not a problem.
As you're talking about your lineage and your last name, it dovetails neatly into where I wanted to go, which is the relationship that Black folks have with this country, bro.
Don't get me in trouble.
I think we
already gonna be there.
About to get in trouble. It's a love-hate thing for me. And depending on the day you catch me, more so in the past than now, I would have a lot of vitriol towards us as people. Just for the way I feel we, the collective we, even though we're not a monolith, like the way the collective we have really, what I feel, fumbled an opportunity to really progress this thing. As I'm getting older, I think I'm starting to acknowledge the complexity and the power of a lot of the things that are taking place, but we're trying to manage being better while trying to manage white supremacy, while trying to manage taking accountability, while still recognizing that there's this force that's propagating these value systems and narratives that don't really advance our humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you in your journey with your relationship with this country?
I love most Americans that I meet. I know of Americans that I know I don't like, but I'm not close to them. But I love and respect and care for most of the Americans. I do not like America. I'm not a fan of America, its political system, its history. America is a kill your neighbors and take their land country that worships a kill your neighbors and take their land God, whether that God is Yahweh, whether that God is capitalism. America's default system is slavery. And the system is trying to go back and revert. They're trying to make America great again. They're trying to revert back to where people get taken advantage of on a very intimate, intricate basis and are enslaved to either a company town or literally a man that they are enslaved to. And I think that's what America is. As much as I moved away from formal religions, there's things that I get out the Bible that I love. And one of them is the concept of don't build your house on sand. You know what I'm saying? And people want we want to imagine, we repeat Martin Luther King's dream as if it's the American dream. Martin Luther King's dream was not George Washington's dream. We repeat the words on the Statue of Liberty as if that was George Washington's dream. That was not their dream. Their dream was to be a part of a white patriarchy, and they always assumed that they would have a caste of people as their slaves. And the country is trying to find wording and angles to get back to a part where to that relationship, and that's what America is. Americans can be a whole bunch of different things and people, and they've taken care of me and they've raised me of all different colors, creeds, religions. You know what I'm saying? But America, the system, the sand that we built this house on, I don't know if it's salvageable. We live in the shadow of a phallic symbol built to a slave owner. Like we literally, like we are under his shadow. Like that's who this country wants to be at its core. I don't know if you heard about in Florida, a guy wrote a paper saying that the Constitution was not supposed to be, it was a legal paper for a law school to get his degree in law school. And he wrote a paper saying that, arguing that the Constitution wasn't written for white people. I mean, was only written for white people. And it made the news and people were like, oh my God, I'm offended. And I'm like, that's what it is.
Why would you not?
That's what it is. We have created something that you and I can live with the level of comfort that our great grandparents did. But that was not what George Washington, it's not what Thomas Jefferson, it's not what any of those people had. It's not what what do you call it? What's his name? Who's the motherfucker who wrote the Star Spangled Banner?
Yo boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yo boy.
I can't remember his name right now.
Mr. Ether.
Yeah. Like they didn't dream that we would be their equals.
Yeah.
We've created that. But when we try to move forward and make different moves, like our instinct is, well, what would the founding fathers think? Fuck them. They believed that they were going. Ta-Nehisi talks about it. Because you're human, no matter how much of you, I don't know if he said this part exactly, but I feel like this is where he was getting at. No matter how much of your own humanity you kill in order to be a capitalist, in order to be a slave owner, part of you still has human nature in you. And so if you look at their writings, they're like, yeah, I know slavery's wrong, but blah, blah, blah. Like they're trying to make sense of it because you can't just kill your whole humanity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It will be as small of a glimpse as it may be. It's present.
It's present.
And so we like to take that small glimpse and then blow that up into.
That's who they were.
That's who they were. Like that's who all of us are. You can't write long enough and not leave breadcrumbs behind with all of your bullshit.
Humanality in it.
It's there.
Yeah.
So we don't have to make that portion bigger. Right. We can just acknowledge it. So what are we fighting for?
What are we fighting for?
What do you if the fabric that this country is woven with is corrupt, is insidious, is anti-humanity for all people, what are we fighting for?
I mean, I know I'm a Pan-Africanist, and Pan-Africanism isn't, some people when they denigrate Pan-Africanism, they think that we are imagining that we're going back to when Africans all got along. There is no period where one of the reasons that we got to slavery is that they didn't have a reason. The Igbo didn't look at the Yoruba and be like, we're one people. But that's the next level. The next level is Pan-Africanism and realizing we are one. The ultimate level is humanity realizing that they are one, but us convincing the higher caste system to let us in is a harder task than asking our peers to be like, hey, can we see each other's humanity? We come from the same place.
And your goal is to try to, Pan-Africanism is attempting to recognize the oneness in your...
Yes, me,
first,
the Haitians, the Jamaicans, the Brazilians, the South Africans, the Ghanaians, the Kenyans, just being like, hey, and because this is what Malcolm X discovered, like, hey, we all have the same foot on our neck. Like, we can argue, DNA, blah, 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 but we all, and then, of course, that gets expanded to the Indians and the Pakistanis, because we all have the same foot on our neck. The poor indigenous people of Australia, we all have the exact same foot on our neck. I think I recognize the humanity of what we call white people. I recognize that they're humans and they're our brothers and sisters as well, but I don't think we can talk them into letting us up into their castle. You know what I'm saying? I think they're going to want to keep their castle as a whole. I think what we have to do is create a whole different world that they have to join in with us on. I think the next level is humanity getting together, but the first level is Pan-Africanism, is us seeing like, hey, not only do we have same genetic heritage, but we're also being abused by the system that we know it at large, and we have to work together to figure that out.
I'm about to play devil's advocate.
All right. Now be careful. I'm a PK, and my family told me how to treat the devil, and I treat the devil advocates the same way I treat the devil. Okay. So this is a shell. The idea is gonna be outside of me. The idea is what is the advocate, not me. Just the idea. Okay.
Separate them, please. I feel that capitalism will prevent us from achieving that because all of the people who, not all, in large part have bought the concept of castle.
If I make enough money, I'll be all right.
So even if I'm black, like my goal isn't oneness, isn't unity, it's to get the castle. So it's harder, I feel sometimes, for us to convince each other of our humanity than it is to convince the dude in the castle that we want to get in. Because I don't even really think that's what we're fighting for as much as it is just.
Right. I agree with you, and being a Pan-Africanist and trying to be a better Pan-Africanist and understanding where it comes from. Like the modern father of Pan-Africanism is Garvey, and Garvey was a capitalist, and I think that was a weakness to his argument. Now I don't critique Garvey because I felt like he should have known better. There's no way he should have known better. He's a trailblazer. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He grew up in a capitalist system. He was like, let me use money to get my people free. And I feel like we have seen now, looking at it, that didn't work. That's not the move. Couple of reasons. One, just because capitalism is a blood-sucking vampire type of thing. And two, like, capitalism means you have to work through the system that exists, and that's how the US eventually took them down. You know what I'm saying? Literally through capitalism. Kwame Ture and other people have progressed and have added socialism to the Pan-Africanism. And there's always going to be a group of people who want to keep it capitalist because they figured out how to be successful in capitalism, and they don't want to give up that little bit. I'm not one of them. I'm not a communist. I don't even know if I am a socialist, just because the word means so many things weighted. But I do think that we should be sharing with each other. I believe in the golden rule. You know what I'm saying? And so we need to find some economic system that has everybody get their needs met, and where no one's being abused and taken advantage of, and that type of thing. So I'm definitely a socialist, understanding the concept of what socialism is. I do understand that it's a weighted word politically. But yeah, no, you're right. Especially a guy I watch a lot, FD Signifier, has this whole video about how Barack Obama messed up black people, because we just, especially those of us who come from where I come from, I will admit it, who come from where I come from, was like, we have representation, we can go to brunch, we're good. You know what I'm saying? As if the fight is over, as if they ain't got cousins who are still check to check, who, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it made way too many of us comfortable. Like, we'll live in this capitalistic democratic system. As long as it shows black faces in it, we're cool. And even when Obama was there, I wasn't cool with that.
Yeah.
Like, we got to find a system that works better for everybody.
Find a system that works for everybody. I'm processing that for some reason.
I was thinking, as you said it, I was thinking, like, this system works well for the Trump family.
Yeah.
Trump's great-grandfather or grandfather was a draft dodger. He avoided Germany in World War I. He was a pimp. He was a slumlord. Those type of people thrive in America. They create people like Donald Trump. And the system, the capitalistic system, is set up for people who can succeed. The key to me, and I got to figure out a way to write about it and say it, and thank you for having this conversation. It helps me articulate it. Being a good capitalist means killing parts of your humanity. Hustle culture. I don't sleep. I cut off friends. You know what I'm saying? I don't do fun. I'm like, no, be human. Like, be human. Like, have friends.
Yeah.
Sleep.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
be human.
Yeah.
But the better a capitalist you are, the more you kill your own humanity.
Yeah.
And I don't want to kill my humanity. I want to enjoy the human experience. I want to sleep.
Right.
I want my friends to be loved and cared for, and you know what I'm saying? I am not here killing my humanity trying to be a better capitalist.
Do you think so look at what's going on in Israel, Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
You look at what's going on in Iran. Most of these countries, motherfuckers cannot live together, bro.
Yeah.
We're trying to do something that is extremely fucking difficult, that has probably never been done for any sustained period of time or a large scale, right?
I mean, I feel like, I think we don't know about it being done, but we have the words of Christopher Columbus when he landed and met the Taino, that they got along and they didn't have weapons and they didn't understand. Like, they tried to grab a sword because they didn't have swords.
Yeah.
And they just get, you know what I'm saying? So, like, the people who we've wiped out, who Western society have wiped out, have done other things that weren't based on subjugation and killing humanity. You know what I'm saying? But unfortunately, what we have as our examples are these huge slave-driven empires.
But when you look at now, it's the spirit that the thing was made with that I feel this shit was built, like the foundation of it is laden.
We are a kill your neighbor and take their land society that worships a kill your neighbor and take their land God, whether that is capitalism or Yahweh.
So what are we fighting for?
I think, first of all, we need to get rid of Yahweh. Yahweh, Abraham, we're talking about Iran and Israel. Israel thinks they have rights to that land, and they go to the story from the Bible from it. The story from the Bible is that they got there when they weren't there, and they killed everybody and took it. That's what Yahweh is, a murder your neighbors and take their land God. All these religions surround Abraham. Abraham is one of the worst examples of a man you could find. Like, you could be a worse father and husband than Abraham, but you would have to think about it. You have to be like, how can I be more?
You ain't doing that just accidentally.
You can't casually be a worse man than Abraham. You have to put effort. Remember, Abraham, according to all the religious traditions, what set him apart, the reason God loved him, was his willingness to slit his son's throat and light him on fire while singing songs. That's what made God be like, I love this guy. I'm being salacious, but I'm being factual.
Yeah.
That is the story. And he could have picked a man as his chosen one who looked out for widows. But Abraham didn't look out for widows. He famously pimped out his wife in Egypt. God could have picked a man who looked after orphans. Abraham didn't do that. Abraham famously dropped off his baby mama and his firstborn in the desert. You know what I'm saying? He is a horrible man. He is a despicable man. But you got to remember, God wasn't looking for a good man. Yahweh was looking for a man willing to slit his son's throat and light him on fire. You can't ask me to do that. I ain't doing that shit. You ask somebody who pimps out his wife and drops off his baby mama in the desert. That's what we are dealing with. And I know good people who believe in, because the Bible is so thick and written about so many things, that they find the parts that they can agree with. But if you ask them, are you really pro, murder your child and set them on fire? Because that's his qualifying, what makes Abraham qualified is his willingness to murder his child.
Yeah.
I am better than that.
Yeah.
I am more moral than that. I am a better person than that. And I think we need to have that conversation out loud.
And we're seeing that as a sign of his commitment to God, when we really should be like,
what is wrong with God? What kind of God you following? If a man came up to you right now and was like, look, I know God intimately. I know this because I almost went and murdered my son, and then God told me not to, but now he revealed himself. If I came to you and told you that story, would you listen to me?
Nah, not at all. Not at all.
I'd be like, you need to get the fuck away from me.
Yeah.
You need to go get your child you left in the desert. You need to go get your life together.
Yeah.
I need you to stay up. You know what I'm saying? But that is the basis of our religion. And people find the parts, people find the parts of peace and love and try to hold on to that part. But at the root of it, we live in a kill your neighbors and take their land society because we worship that kind of God who appreciates. And then after Abraham showed his willingness to murder his own child, God gave him special permission and power to murder his neighbors and take their land.
And why in the fuck would you not want to emulate that if you were rewarded in that fashion?
Right. And so all these countries, all these patriarchal empires, America. There's a study. The further west you go, the towns are named after places in the Old Testament. They're named like Jericho. You know what I'm saying? Thomas Jefferson suggested that the pillar of fire from the Bible that led the Hebrews out of Egypt should be our official symbol. Because that was the signal from God to move this way where you have permission to kill everybody and take their land. That is what we live in.
That's so convenient.
That is so convenient, right? So convenient. That's what we live in.
So what I'm hearing you say, this isn't sustainable.
No, it's not. It's not.
So,
it's not. Because everybody takes turns being the chosen people. Like one of my biggest problems now is like there are people in Africa who are like, they're Igbo in Africa who's like, no, we are really the lost tribe of Abraham. And I'm like, why do you want to be related to him? If I'm related to him, I'm denying it. I don't want, you've seen the guys in purple and gold on the corners telling you that why do you want to be related to him? He is the worst type of man there is.
I never thought about that till you
He's a horrible man. Nothing about him is anything I would emulate in real life. I would not have him around me. I wouldn't have him around my children. He would be a pariah. And the way he's described in the Bible, he is an absolute pariah. And he is, we call it the God of Abraham. He is who we got God from. We think God behaves the way he does because Abraham told us he acts that way. Why do I trust a man whose qualifying action was his willingness to murder his child? We started the conversation. You talked about it's obvious fatherhood is the biggest thing to me. As I process that, I'm like, oh, I need to get away from that. I need a God. I'm not an atheist. I'm a poet. I know God comes in handy. We need some way to talk about the greater thing, but we need a better God. We need a non-murder your child God.
We need a better God.
Yes. It can't be capitalism. It can't be Yahweh. We need a better God.
What would your process be for discovering that better God?
So I don't even know if I am actively, I am defining God myself. I am positive there's probably some group out there that's defining God that I would agree with, and I'm okay with bumping into them. I'm also over the idea that I need to find God in order to fulfill something. I define God like a mistake that we make, and we learn it from Abrahamic faiths, is that God cares. God obviously doesn't care. That's the most visibly obvious thing. Care is a verb. Care is something you do. I care about the children in Sudan, and I'm doing everything in my power to help the children in Sudan, which is basically nothing, but I have a limited amount of power. Now you tell me God cares about Sudan. No, he doesn't.
Not with infinite power.
Not with infinite power. He might be curious, but he doesn't care. That is just obvious. That is black and white, that he obviously does not care. And so we need to find, I want to respect the larger power, but I don't give the larger, the religions that we grow up in give God the same attributes of a tyrannical king.
Yeah.
And God does not operate at that. I want to have conversations about what God is and what God wants and who God is, but God isn't that. God is not a tyrannical king. Yeah, so we need to, and people have ways to define it, and I love having the conversation, but I'm also just figuring out what I can do in the limited time I have left on earth. It's not like if I don't find God, I haven't figured it out, you know what I'm saying? But I've left the murder your son God. I don't do the murder your child God.
And he did murder his son too. That's kind of, at least he didn't have somebody to do something he wasn't willing to do.
I want this to be on record, and you can decide whether, you probably shouldn't post this, but can I explain Jesus's crucifixion?
Man, I would love to hear it.
So the God of the Bible, Abraham's God, is omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, knows all, does all, understands all. An omnipotent God decided that there was sin. He could have made that there was no sin. People say there's sin because it's free will. God could have given us free will and make it choosing between a bunch of things that don't offend him. He could have been like, every day you have to choose between cake and ice cream. And I'm gonna sit back here and watch, and I'm gonna find it interesting if you choose between cake and ice cream. He could have made sinning not a possibility, but he wanted sin because he's an asshole, because he wants a reason to make everything interesting, right? And so he created sin. Because he's omnipotent, he could have gotten rid of sin any way he wanted to. We got the first sin from eating a piece of fruit. He could have been like, sin is over with if you throw up a piece of fruit. He could have been like, sin is over with because I said, bippity boppity bin, that's the end of sin. Right? The reason his child, who's also him, had to be tortured to death to end sin is because God wanted to be tortured to death. Yahweh is a masochist. He wanted to experience being tortured to death because there's no reason for him to get tortured to death other than he wanted to get tortured to death, because he could have just said, no more sin. He desired to be tortured to death. Jesus is a masochist. He wanted to be tortured to death in front of everybody on a hill and have people tell stories about it for thousands of years. He is a masochist exhibitionist.
Oh, shit.
He wanted to be praised for being tortured to death.
Oh, shit.
He's a masochist exhibitionist with a praise kink. I don't see how I'm wrong. I don't see how I'm wrong. He's also, on top of all that, he's suicidal. His death was suicide. If the creatures you create and control kill you in the way that you planned, that's a suicide.
Bro, I hear you 100%. Can I respond?
Please. I want this argument refined.
Okay.
I don't share it with a lot of people. I want it refined.
The level that train of thought is on and the path that it takes is subject to fitting neatly into a narrative that supports the overall theme of the message. And that is the fact that it fits neat is always the thing that freaks me out. Is when shit fits neat.
Okay.
About God.
Okay.
Because like because what neat essentially represents for me is understanding. Mm-hmm. It's like when you hear Sun Ra or these jazz, these formations of jazz that transcend structure but still has structure.
Like Andre's album.
Yes. And it's the listener's responsibility, not the artist's responsibility for you to fall into it, to put it together. And I feel like a lot of time God is freestyling. And like like Sun Ra's songs or some of these interpretations, I'm missing it. And so I feel like the story that you're describing with the masochist, okay, there's a set of actions that are being measured, and then you come to a conclusion based on what happened and then what it did, and then there's a conclusion.
You got tortured and you control everything. You must have wanted to be tortured.
But I feel like there are other connectors to it outside of that. So like, my dad died of cancer.
Okay. Condolences.
Thank you. That could be a story. My dad died of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Cancer's fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Some other shit happened too.
Mm-hmm.
That story, that died of cancer story doesn't factor in.
Things that outside of that factor.
Yeah.
That also
Like-
added to it. Yep.
And I feel God has the ability to use everything to reflect the brilliance and the love that is in everything. It's just, what can we see? What's your vantage point from it? And I think most times we're looking at it from a human vantage point, and there's a need for things to fit in a specific way, when really there's more things out of sync where God exists and is doing work too, that we just needed to come into resolution for us to see it as that thing. And I think that's what getting old does. I think that's when motherfuckers get sick does, when somebody transitions. Like, it's just another opportunity to see something from a different vantage point, to express this appreciation and blessing for the life that we have. As fucked up as it might be, or as we feel it is. Does that make sense?
I know, completely makes sense. And that's why religiously and spiritually, like I said, I recognize God and I want to understand God. I don't pray to God. I don't ask God for stuff. I don't owe God anything. God does not care about my pain and my suffering. If God cared, it wouldn't exist. You know who cares about my pain and suffering? I do. My family does.
Yep.
My ancestors do. Other humans. Humans want to live a good life. God is just, I can't even, I don't even try to describe. God is not involved. God does not care. That is the best way to look at it. And I don't mean that maliciously. You know what I'm saying? Humans want to survive.
Yeah.
Living, breathing, sentient beings want to not feel pain and want to live on. And so we avoid pain and we make love. You know what I'm saying? That's what we do all the time. When the universe conspires in our favor, we say God also wants those things for us. When the universe conspires against us, we say God doesn't want those things for us.
Yeah, which one is it?
God does not care. God is just doing God. We as humans are trying to figure out how to enjoy this human experience.
So can two things, we had just talked about legacy, or at least high level.
Yeah.
You don't give a fuck if you gonna be remembered. You want to do something in a way that just seeps into the everyday life of something.
I'm already remembered when people mention the ancestors. 100 years from now, when they say, I would like to thank the ancestors, they're talking about me. They're talking about you too, but I'm intimately involved in the idea that they're talking about me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm thriving for.
But you care, but you don't at the same time as you imagine this life force
Right.
of Bomani Armah carrying through past your physical form.
Right.
That's God. We highlight it as God, but at the end of the day, once it seeps into everything,
Right.
the ego associated with it, because I think that's something that
I'm okay with that as long as we don't just do the good stuff. Because
you got to do both.
you got to do both.
You gotta do both.
Trump is God. I can't stand him. I think he's an idiot. I think he's bad for humanity. But God wanted that to happen. That's also God. And so, like, if you truly believe and say out loud that God is everything, then I'm with you on that. But a lot of people don't really mean God is everything.
Do you believe God is everything?
I think it has to be. God is absolutely. God is the reason that children are born with all 10 toes and great smiles and laughs, and God is the reason why they get sexually assaulted by their relatives. God is both. Humans have decided one thing is bad and one thing is not. But if God wanted one of those things to not happen, it would not happen because God has all the power. And
when you said God, so you're acknowledging the fact that it's all God.
Yeah.
You're not separating them, the logic for you. doing that is by saying God doesn't care because these bad things are happening. So he's just indifferent.
He's just indifferent.
Okay.
Doesn't care and indifferent mean the same thing, but it feels different coming out your mouth. And so I should say he's indifferent. Like, I know righteous people who love their neighbors and went to church every day, who died horrible deaths. You know what I'm saying? Who wanted nothing more. Like, there's someone in particular that I'm thinking of, and I'm not gonna say their name, but who wanted nothing more than to be a mother, and like had miscarriage after miscarriage after miscarriage, and then died like in pain, and you know what I'm saying? And like, of course, like, well, I'm not mad at God for that happening, because I realize God is indifferent, but that was proof to me that God doesn't care. Like, God needed to treat my sister better than that. Like, she didn't deserve and we see it all the time. We're watching it happen in Gaza. We're watching it happen in Sudan. Like, there are people who don't deserve the pain and suffering they're going through. And if someone who's in charge really loved and cared for them, they should stop it. And I'm realizing that's not how it works. I should stop it with all the power that I have, when the amount of power I have is limited. You know what I'm saying? But God obviously is indifferent to those things.
I find it interesting how we pick which shit to cape for as Americans. You're mentioning Sudan, bro. The shit that's going on over there, bro, is on a whole nother level, and it's getting zero attention. And I feel it's at a scale that is equal, if not greater, than what's going on. But
right, yeah. I mean, so part of it's being a huge part of it is being a Pan-Africanist. Another part is being trying to be a good human. Another part is being married to a Kenyan. And so, like, you know, it's a couple of hops, skips, and jumps, but like, problems in North Africa and East Africa are problems for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. Like, we aren't, you know, Rwanda, Uganda. You know what I'm saying? Or like, problems that happen one place are still my problem. Problems that happen in Guatemala are my problems. And it's also doubly my problems, because a lot of those problems are paid for with American tax dollars. A lot of these countries are in political turmoil because of the extra 10 cents I gotta pay every time I buy a lighter. You know what I'm saying? And so I haven't absolved myself.
You are complicit. You own that.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm a part of it somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta, like, there ain't but so much I could do, but I do need to do the thing that at least I talk. And I'm good at putting words together, and I'm going to put words together that help hopefully illuminate this for other people.
I wanted to talk about Black Colin Powell mixtape.
Got you. I would love to talk about that. I did a horrible job promoting that, but I put a lot of work into creating it.
First off, I like the fucking name.
Thank you.
Talk to me about the title.
So, my former business partner, I'm not gonna say his name. If he wants to claim it, he can, but I know he works in a bunch of circles and I don't wanna get him in trouble. He adopted the name, the Black Colin Powell, because it was some mistaken thing that happened when Colin Powell said something referencing that he's black, but he's not like that kind of black. You know what I'm saying? Like, he knows culturally, and if you read his books, like, I respect Colin Powell. We're the same age. We were raised to respect Colin Powell.
Yeah, 100%.
He deserves a lot of respect. He's a very disciplined, knowledgeable. He is the military man of our generation.
Yes, sir.
When they write the history book, they're gonna talk about Colin Powell. You know about rap culture. You don't name yourself after people you don't respect. You know what I'm saying? You gotta respect them. So, but he was like something where he had thought that Colin Powell had said something like, "I'm not that black," and then my partner was like, what if he was that black? What if the military mind of our generation was also a Garveyite? Like, how powerful would that be? And then my man took that on as his name, but he stopped rapping and hadn't rapped for like 20 years. And I was like, that is a great name and no one's gonna hear it, so I'm just gonna take it and use it. I didn't ask his permission. I was like, my mind was ruminating on it so much. I was like, bruh, I'll tell people that I didn't come up with it, but that's too good of an idea to just let sit.
Yeah.
And then I've read one of them, and I've read the majority of all of his books. In his first biography, it's amazing. A thread through it is him trying to get a monument done to the Buffalo Soldiers. And as a poet, and as somebody who became the Black Colin Powell before I read that, the poetry in that is so amazing. what we do as black people, and in the song I played for you earlier for my next album, For Not My Ministry, we work really hard to prove to America that we aren't what America thinks that we are better than what they think we are, and that we're just like them. Being just like them is being a murder your neighbors and take their land type of people. And so Colin Powell, because he's, from Caribbean immigrants who's like, prove that you're the best and go in there, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, I've got to prove to America that I can out-America America. And he did. Like, he took over sovereign nations like it was nothing. You know what I'm saying? And he later on realized that they lied on his name and used and told him lies so that he could do these things. You know what I'm saying? And so Colin Powell is the military mind of our generation. What if he was black? Like politically.
Black.
What if he was black politically? And I am not nearly as disciplined as Colin Powell, but my goal, and I'm not a military guy, I'm an artist, but my goal is to be as prolific as he was promoting blackness. You know what I'm saying? And that's what, and then it's also to just poke at the idea of what we do to be included, what we do to be Americans. You know what I'm saying? The Buffalo Soldiers were trying to prove that they weren't cowards, that they had discipline and morals. And to do that, they proved it by oppressing Native Americans and being the tip of the spear of oppressing Native Americans. They proved that they were true Americans by doing some really American thing, and that is by killing their neighbors and taking their land. And that's who Colin Powell is. And I would rather have that level of discipline and morality, but not do it for America. I'd want to do it for black.
That's the complicated relationship, man.
Yeah.
Like we meaning black people contribute to that.
Mm-hmm.
And
our numbers don't make sense in the military. Like, we join way beyond our percentage of the population, and we've done that for centuries. We've been trying to better our lives, and the best way for us to better our lives is to further inculcate ourselves into this system. And this system does horrible things to us and then use us to do horrible things to other people.
And maybe that's one of the reasons why we're feeding from the tit of the very thing that's poisoning us.
Yeah.
And that's when you really sit with that, it can fuck you up.
It makes you uncomfortable. It makes me uncomfortable. Yeah.
Because we also are watching each other fight the thing that's feeding us. And that looks wild.
But I do think we have to be able, the cliche is think outside the box. I think we talk about, there's a weird conversation we have as African Americans where we talk about how great and wonderful America is once we get it to stop doing a few things. And I feel like we have to. That's a survival technique. We couldn't be in 1910. We can't be, the whole thing is bullshit. The whole thing needs to come down. We would have gotten wiped out. So we have to find a way to survive and to tell our oppressors what they want to hear to a certain level. But then some of us take it too far and be like, no, really, America, its system, it's actually like we even say things that just simply aren't true as far as it being like the first democracy or most, you know what I'm saying? Like we just pump it up because we're trying to make it in this thing. And I am not a politician. I don't know what the next move is. I'm positive I'm not going to be alive for the next move. I have to prep my children to be a part of the next move. I want it to be peaceful. I don't want violence to happen. I understand how inevitable violence is, but I don't want violence to happen. But this can't stand. We're the same age. People are saying now that what's going on in Iran is like what happened in Iraq. I get them saying that, but it's not. They worked hard to lie to us on that one.
Mr. CP.
Colin Powell spent his life building a reputation, and then when he presented the information, some of it had to be like
one
And now they can't find anybody credible. They're not trying. They asked the president, hey, your national intelligence advisor said they don't have nuclear weapons or nowhere close to that. And the president says, my national intelligence advisor doesn't know what they're talking about. So unlike in our generation where they felt the need to like give us a script and leave
He had to go up there with PowerPoints and slides. They were wrong.
They were wrong.
They were lies, but they at least put it together.
They had to put an effort together. They had to try to lie to us. And I was preparing to explain to my sons, like, look, this is how they try to lie to us. This is how they try to lie to us. And my sons are like, they didn't even try to lie.
They didn't try it?
They didn't even try to lie, Dad. They just did it.
I think well, metaphorically speaking, man, the devil tired of hiding. It's been
Yeah.
ready to come out.
It is convenient because I've been trying to tell people what America is, and I sound like a conspiracy theorist. And so now the hard thing is being like, I can point at Trump and they'll be like, yeah, this is a new thing. I'm like, no, this is new. Like I'm not going to lie to you about it.
Yeah, its presentation is new. The execution, the impact
is classic.
Is the same. It's been going on.
It's what they do.
So
it's what they do.
You said you're not going to be here. In my mind, that translates to legacy.
Yes.
We're all walking towards the end of this motherfucker, right?
Right. Yeah, no doubt.
You got hit with MS.
Yes.
Aside from the obvious with your walking and the cane and shit, like how has your walk changed?
It has made me, I have, because of my religious upbringing and because of the cool people I've lived around and their philosophies in life, I've always been grateful for what I have. And the connection I made when you said legacy, like I had several conversations with my mother's father, my grandfather. I know him peripherally as a young man and just like granddad conversations. But what I know from what he did for a living, I can't imagine he lived his life the way he wanted to. I imagine that he had a whole bunch of menial jobs that he just did to get from A to B to make sure that my mother and her brothers were fed. I feel like I live now, even with my condition, I live in a situation my grandfather could only dream about. I'm sorry, he didn't only dream about. He worked for this. My grandfather worked for this. I love my life. I spend all day making art that uplifts and explains my people to other people and sharing that art and helping them explain their art and how to explain their family. I love my life. I don't know if my grandfather did, but my grandfather did what he did, so I would have the opportunity to love my life. I think my father loved his life more than my grandfather did, but as I look at how he worked, I can't imagine he loved all of it. But maybe he did, but it seemed like some of it seemed like hell to me, you know what I'm saying, having an office job, but he did that so I could do what I do. You know what I'm saying? And his life was more comfortable than his father's life. And my grandfather's life was more comfortable than his grandfather's life. You know what I'm saying? So I'm hoping, and I know I can't control it. Sometimes there's a generational setback, but I'm feeling that my sons are gonna even be more like, I'm where I belong. So MS, and I say all that to say, MS would feel differently if I didn't love my life. If I had, instead of taking my own advice and finding how to live in the world where I could be an artist full time, like I could have been a marketing director or worked at a credit union and I make okay money now, but I could have made good money 10 years ago. And I would have hated it. I probably would have had a coke habit or something, trying to like forget about what I do all day, but I would have had the obvious trappings of success. I still would have ended up with MS, and I would be stuck somewhere, stuck in a situation where that I don't love, also not being able to move. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if I'm stuck. There are medications. I'm switching healthcare providers. My last healthcare provider ruined my life. I'm not gonna say their name, Kaiser Permanente. If I had never had them, my life would be better. But I've got a new healthcare provider, and I've got new doctors that I'm seeing very soon. I might need to speed it up because my condition just feels weird. From what I understand, it does like this for a lot of people. Most people it does this, and you have moments. Some people it just does this. we hadn't gotten to the point where my doctors in my previous healthcare had figured out which one it is. I'm mentally preparing for either one, but I'm also, something I learned from my religious upbringing, and I use and I feel guilty about it because I don't completely like it. Best way to say it. My favorite gospel song is Thank You. I think it's Walter Hawkins. Thank you, Lord, for all you've done for me. Your viewers right now started singing along and know the verse, like how it goes, right? And part of the song is like, it could have been me with no clothes and no food and no home, but God, you spared me so I could be in a good place. I've never felt comfortable with, I feel grateful because I see your life sucks.
Yeah.
That's never, like, it felt good when I was first raised in it. And I was like, yeah, man, I see homeless people and it's not me. And now that I was like, but can I just be happy? Because do I need you to not be happy?
Comparison to something?
Comparison. So I try to avoid that, but I'm inundated and I know how many people don't like their lives. And I know that I am blessed to like my life as much as I do. And so I can't avoid that part of me that's like, no, I get it. I see, I have neighbors and I have friends and I have people who seem to have everything. I wouldn't be Elon Musk for anything.
Yeah.
Like, his life sucks.
Yeah.
He's got torment and turmoil.
He looks lonely.
He is lonely. He's confused. Like, there's nothing about his life that I want.
Prison in his own mind. He looks like he's a prisoner of his own mind. It looks sad, bro.
It's sad. And they tell you that when you're younger, like, yeah, rich people, you don't want to be, Jesus said the eye of the needle thing. Like, yeah, and I'm glad Elon made himself visible so we can be like, oh yeah, no, I don't, nah. I would rather have my children love me than be 100 billionaire. Like, and I don't want to be hungry, but I don't need 100 billion in exchange for the love of, like, no. And so I am very grateful. I am mad. We said before the camera was rolling, I was telling you, I am mourning the man that I wanted to be. Like, I'll be honest, like, and I mean this so seriously, I don't want all the women, but I do want all the women to want me. And I'm handicapped now. And I was making plans to be this, like, strong, dashing, accomplished, you know what I'm saying? And, like, I'm just upset. Like, I wanted to just be turning them down, be like, nah, you know, I got too many things. But I wanted to be the man that men wanted to be like and women wanted to be with. And I know aspects of my life are, but not the part of me that needs a cane. You know what I'm saying? And that hurts.
That you don't factor that into the equation when you were envisioning that swag and them Heismans to all the ladies. Wasn't no cane
there
in
was
that
no cane
image.
involved in that. And so that's where I am now. And I have to, like, you know, I'm reconciling that.
What about the physical piece of it, man? You were real active before and shit. And you got, you know, you got little ones.
So, I mean, that's the part, and I have to prepare myself to say it so I don't cry. The part that makes me upset is, like, my son will never see me run. You know what I'm saying? I have a 2-year-old. Like, I was supposed to have been a capoeirista right now and playing with my kids and stronger than the average 47-year-old. And I'm not. I'm weaker than the average 47-year-old. My doctors told me that my will and determination is amazing because the amount of heavy lifting and moving around that I did while MS was setting in, it doesn't make sense to them how much I pulled this heavy cart in my sound system and did this 4 shows a day, 6 shows a day. Like your determination made it look like you weren't struggling, but the doctor was like, I don't know how you did all those things with the scars on your spine the way they are. You know what I'm saying? So I've been overachieving physically for a long time. Part of it, it's completely a physical thing in the sense that there's some things that I can't do anything about, but part of it is psychological. My mood does change my walk. You know what I'm saying? And so one of the reasons I feel like I'm in a downward part of the up and down is I'm in the first 1.5 years of realizing what my problems are. and depression and anxiety on top of multiple sclerosis is making the multiple sclerosis even work. And I need to, my wife is doing a great job of helping me try to figure out what life looks like now that I'm not the guy that I imagined. And I'm still like, I can't complain about 95% of things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm blessed for that. You know what I'm saying? My children love me. My children respect me. I am glad that I raised my sons to respect me rather than fear me. Because some people raise their sons because you think you can still kick their ass when they're 20 or 25. And
you raised them motherfuckers is cut like
I've been training them
6 and 8 packs and triceps.
And they've been training to fight.
No fat,
And
nowhere.
so like they need, at my stage where I am physically, they need to like me.
They need to like you.
To do what I asked them to
need to
do.
like you.
They need to be like, oh,
Facts.
I love this guy.
Facts.
Facts. I'm gonna follow him in what he says because he loves me and I love him. Because I'm not like, no, you know what I'm saying? I can't. That was taken from me. So I had to figure out, I'm glad that I didn't lead with that. If I had led with that, then I'd be in so much trouble.
Whoop. I feel like your life, man, has been, and this is just me projecting, so please
Okay.
move the shit. However way you want to move it. It goes back to what you were saying about God is a masochist. That's like one piece of that, of the way that story can be interpreted.
Right.
Looking at your life, bro. And I'm seeing pieces fit together. And things preparing and setting up and things moving to prepare.
Experiences that I couldn't explain, now all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm glad I went through that.
And
'Cause now I got it.
And as you were talking earlier about your music, about the Watermelon Man 2 and Malcolm Little, Malcolm X, or Detroit Red, Malcolm X, Shabazz. Like, these are stages.
Yeah.
And your life feels very similar in that way, bro. And this illness is fucked up. There's no cure, right?
Right. People deal with it better now than they did in the 80s. They told me I'm lucky I didn't have this as a 40-year-old in the 80s, but it's still, there's no cure.
Like, even your mindset, bro, for like how you see adversity and how you overcome, I can't explain any of this shit to you, dog. It just feels like things are structuring themselves in a way that's just gonna allow what you've been doing to continue. And even in the idea what you were saying, with the boys needing to see you in a certain way, like, you're Baba Bomani, bro. Like, that's who you are. Like, not just by what you say, like, you are an example.
I appreciate that.
Of moving shit and overcoming shit and dealing with shit and sharing shit and connecting shit. And and then you got this fucking shit MS come along and it'll be like, oh, something else for a nigga to move?
Yeah.
And it's like but I feel confident as a person who appreciates your energy, man, and your light, that you're gonna, just like all the other shit that you do, find ways to make that motherfucker ill too.
Yeah, I feel like, and I don't know if I figured out a way to articulate it like this before now, but one of the things I did recognize as a young person, and we're all living in a tragedy. We're all living in a tragedy. Some people, unfortunately, it's a lifelong tragedy. There's bad shit happening all the time, but no matter how good things are, someone's gonna die, we're gonna die. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and I'm not like depressed about it, but I've always been like, and the song I didn't play for you is a song called Loving Life. And it's about me taking a moment, and this is literally a year before I found out I had MS. And I was like, everything is good right now. Let me just take a moment and say, everything is good right now. And I started the song off, there's a rhyme to it, but I'm like, everything is good right now. I know how life works. Everything's not always gonna be good, but let me take a moment right now to be like, right now, everything is all good. You know what I'm saying? Because I've grown up with that reality. I understand that I live a charmed life, but something's going to go wrong. My father lost his brother getting shot in a card game. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm nothing horribly horrible. I mean, my father passed, but you know, he passed with time. It was a kidney failure, but I have a friend, my closest rap brother, the guy, Mark Hatcher, who plays the guitar on the majority of my stuff, lost his father as a teenager. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think to myself, I'm blessed because I saw it happen to him and it didn't happen to me. That's why I'm blessed. But I am glad that I have an example in my head where I'm like, no matter what I plan, like we're all in a tragedy. Like I try not to get emotional thinking like my 2-year-old might not know me at 16. It could not have anything to do with MS. You know what I'm saying? Life is just going life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I don't take comfort in the fact that I'm going through something that I'm not going through other people's horrors, but I do be like, oh, I see that horrors happen and I've emotionally prepared myself to be like, it's gonna happen, and how do I maintain when it happens? And that's also why I needed to make sure that I rooted myself in something that really mattered. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm so glad that that my father gave me the space to chase my dreams, and so now I'm fighting MS while being the man I wanted to be. While I'm fighting MS. I could be fighting MS and fighting imposter syndrome. You know what I'm saying? I could be fighting MS and being at a desk job that I don't like. You know what I'm saying? But I'm fighting MS while trying to maintain the life that I had built. And that's, relatively speaking, that's not that bad.
Would you call that purpose?
Yeah, no doubt. Nah, I would call it purpose. It's a lot of luck. I'm a very determined, moral person. That I have a lot of talent. I'm very hardworking. I am very kind. I'm very loving. I am a whole bunch of very important things. I am lucky as fuck. Sometimes the chips just fall. You know what I'm saying? I think we all are. Like, there's no reason I'm not Palestinian right now. Me being Palestinian is just luck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Shoot, I don't have to be Palestinian. I could be black 80 years ago and have my town wiped out. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so some of it, I want to make sure I give myself and my community credit, but some of it is just pure, unadulterated.
You know what you could have been, bro?
What?
White.
Oh, God.
Can you imagine a white Bomani?
Oh, God. Oh, man.
I don't know why that made me laugh.
That's hilarious.
You Palestinian, black 80 years ago. Like, your biggest fear was black 80 years ago.
That's hilarious. Oh, let me grab my hat. Oh, that's perfect. No, that's
not white now, black
right.
80 years ago.
Right. No, if I was, you know what would be my problem if I was white now? I would be one of those white guys who tries to be cool with black people and doesn't see the blind spots in his own racism. That's not even his fault. You know what I'm saying? Like American white men are racist. No matter how much they try to not be racist. Some of them are less racist than others because they've gone through work. But if you're American and you're white, you're racist. I am on levels misogynist. I feel like I'm much less misogynist than 99% of the people.
You can't escape it.
But I can't escape it.
You're born here, you go through the educational system, you watch the shows, you listen to the songs.
Right.
You will get what this shit is about.
I've been taught since I was a child that God created man, and then man needed help, and so he pulled woman out of his side, and then woman messed up and caused sin. That was preached to me since a child. I know now that that's not the truth, but that I know the power of rhythm, rhyme, and repetition. And so I know in the back of my mind, in the reptilian part of my brain, there's still some parts of me that has that still in there. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that.
How do you feel, man, about fathers today and the struggles associated with it, and like the war of the genders and all of that? I know you, well, let me just say this. I get you co-parent with your ex, with the boys. You got an ex-wife. This is how I met you, through a Shay. Only time I'm gonna say your name on the fucking podcast, by the way. And I might bleep that out just to fuck with you. But that union, the twin boys came from the union. And you got married to Vanessa, and you got a daughter and a son through that. The way y'all was co-parenting, bro, I don't think the goal should be perfection. I don't even know what that is, right? But the fact that I always felt as a friend and an ancillary family member that the children's needs were always put at the forefront. 98% of the time. Humans get to be human. So you got to leave room for fucking human beings to be human, right? But I never, and that's even at the expense of y'all as individuals. And
my wife, Vanessa, my twin boy stepmom, she is a G. Like, Shay was like, yo, you need to keep her, because the way she mothers our children and the way she gets along with me, and you know what I'm saying? I think we do such a good job co-parenting. I think it makes other people uncomfortable because they think something else is going on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's not. I do think this, I know me and my best friend, we've been talking about this. I do think an advantage that I had leading into this situation, and this is why I don't like giving, I've had people ask me to come give co-parenting advice, but I know a lot of my co-parenting is about being in the right place in the right time and things playing out the way they're supposed to. And it's a blessing. It could have gone wrong. My father didn't know his father. My father was raised by his great-grandfather, then his grandfather, and he grew up with his uncles like they were his brothers. And I think that's one of the reasons and he was also raised by his stepfather. So like my father had no problem with men showing him how to be a man and being a father to him. You know what I'm saying? But I think that's why he so desperately wanted to be a father, like for real. You know what I'm saying? Because he had that around him all the time. He had guys, like literally his great-grandfather, who should have been retired from raising children. His great-grandfather and great-grandmother were raising him. You know what I'm saying? And so he was like, someone has to do this job. I had all these advantages. I'm gonna pass it on. I feel bad that social media has heightened the gender wars. And I'll say this plainly, the gender wars are mostly on the historically masculine side. Like we live in this patriarchal Abrahamic system that taught us that women come from us and women are here to complete us rather than we are partners. Or what science tells us, what evolution makes obvious, is if there was one gender and then it became two, it would have had to be women first. That's the only thing that makes sense biologically if it was one that became two. And then also religiously, like the God in the story who made Adam and Eve is being a jerk. Because he made, in the story, it says he made all animals male and female, all the way through, and then he came to humans and decided not to. The only reason is because he liked playing this game. I don't like that game. And the obvious reason that the story of Adam and Eve is what it is is, as you read in the Bible, they used to sell and buy women back in the day. And so men were trying to explain that they were the being from God and they have to be the ones from God. And women were like, how are y'all the being from God when humans come through us? And so men had to come up with this story where women came from, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm sure someone was like, that story doesn't make any sense. And some dude like hit her and was like,
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now we got to repeat this really, really stupid story. It is a poorly written story. Like most of the religious stuff, I don't argue against. I'm just like, because I can't argue. A believer doesn't need evidence. And so I can't argue with someone who doesn't need evidence. But it's just a really poorly, like they could have wrote it better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just like it's just, and so that's part of it. And so I do think that like I am not responsible for thousands of years of men, like literally, but I am on the side that has the upper hand in patriarchy. So I need to take more of a forward step in getting rid of it and understanding what things I need to give back to women. You know, the authority, women being able to name themselves, being able to own their own homes and their own credit, which is something you can do in American society for only like the last 50, 60 years. And so I also, when you start talking about gender wars and you start talking about trying to figure out how to resolve this conflict between men and women that's leading to these parenting related gender wars, men who talk glowingly about allowing women into new spaces and talk about women lovingly are called panderers. And I just want to be very clear. I don't pander to women. I cater to women. I am trying to be what women want and do the things for women that make women feel comfortable and at home and feel good about their lives. I am catering to women. Pandering is like, is playing into the weaknesses of women, trying to get something from them. My wife and my ex-wife will tell you that I will tell them the truth about themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't pander to women, but I am completely catering to women. I am trying, there's nothing less heteronormative than trying to prove to men how hetero I am.
Yeah. Pause. Fucking with you.
Exactly. I don't care if like I don't need men to.
Yeah.
And so.
But I do think. Thank you for making the distinction between pandering and catering, and I like the idea of catering. I like the image that comes into my mind is being of service to, like a caterer.
Biologically, like we were saying, if it was one then the other, that's what men were made for. The creature that existed first, trying to bear children and find the food and blah, 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 it slowed down the process and made it harder to survive. And some evolutionary quirk happened where it got split and one could go make sure, one could, and so it worked out. And so it seems like we were evolved to play this role. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mind that being the case.
So what I think is dope is that you could stand there, sit there, and say that, and not to try to prove something to men or even to prove something to women, but to at least profess that you have an orientation towards women, that you will show up in this way and not feel like it's taking anything from you. And that's where I feel, because I think that is important. I think a man needs to sit the fuck up and say what you just said in a myriad of ways that a man can say it. That's just one. And that's just one person. But we need more men saying
I'm here for the women.
That. And it's not, and a part of that is my duty.
Right.
It's not costing me anything to do it.
Right.
And when you do it the right way, you're aligning with something that transcends the self. Because you ultimately, I feel, do all of this shit to feed the familial body.
Completely.
Like that's what it like like, that's what you're there to elevate.
Sometimes the best thing you can do as a father is make sure the mother stays sane. Because motherhood is it's hard.
It's hard.
I got to do a better job of making sure my wife stays sane. That's the best thing I can do for my children. As with my ex-wife, I have to do my best. Like I hear people talking about their exes and wanting, and I get wanting revenge on your ex, but if you want your children to do well, no matter how you feel about your ex, if their mother is not doing well,
the kids aren't doing well.
The kids aren't doing well.
They can't be.
So like I get it, like,
but and vice versa.
Vice versa. But since we're talking to men,
I got you.
We gotta talk. We gotta
facts.
Exactly.
I got you.
So yes, mama, look out for daddy, because if daddy's not doing well, even if y'all aren't together, you're feeding your daughter. Yes, you're getting her to school, but she knows in the back of her mind that her father's not doing okay, so she's not doing okay. I know if the mother of my children is not doing okay, then they're not doing okay. And so, like, I keep emergency money that for my children, and their mother counts. You know what I'm saying? Like, if she's having an emergency, this one girl, and I stopped dating, because while I was dating, after I broke up with her, Shay got a flat tire. And she called me to come get her and help her with her flat tire. And the girl I was dating at the time was with me at the moment. She was like, "Are your kids with her?" I was like, "No." She was like, "Then why are you going out there?" I was like, "Because she's having problems. And if she's having problems, then we're having problems." And she was like, "Nah, like, women will try to do that." I was like, "Maybe, but..."
You got to err on the side of caution.
I'm error on the side of the woman who breastfed my children
needs help.
And I love my children. And so I'm error on the side of I'm gonna help her. You know what I'm saying? And that's the mentality I want. Like I said, it really hurts my feelings when I see married couples dealing with custody battles. I get like one night stands, and it's like, you weren't.
Yeah.
I do think that's a reason not to do one night stands.
100%.
As someone who's participated, I understand how hard not to, but like, having a baby with someone you didn't see yourself having a baby with, I don't know how to get there advice-wise, because my mom scared me out of those situations, so I only had a few of them. But when you were married and then y'all broke up, even if they cheated, even blah, 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 you gotta find something. And I said at the beginning when we were talking, I don't know if we were recording when I said it, I don't judge people on the outcome, but I do judge you on your attempt. That you tried to keep avenue of conversations open with your ex.
So if you got a homeboy who ain't in his son's life, and you be like, "Hey man, when the last time you reached out?" And he says, "Oh, about 3 or 4 years ago," then you gonna be like, "Nigga."
I mean, it wouldn't have lasted that long, because if I'm talking to you,
we talking about kids.
We talking about kids.
I feel you.
It was gonna happen, like it was gonna come up. If I know you have children, if I see you 3 times, I'm asking about them at least once.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even if I don't remember their names, I'm just like, "Oh, I'm wondering what's going on with you." I know how your children is going to affect how you're doing. How are your kids? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I've avoided that. I don't have deadbeats around me because it just would be uncomfortable.
Yeah, especially when you off being all excellent and shit. I'm fucking with you.
I have guys I've grown up with who, like, I found out that we don't stay in contact like we used to, who are having issues with children they've had. And I honestly also believe that there's something going on where the mother was part of the problem, but there's something where I'm like, but you still gotta try harder. Like, this is your life story. Like, she's being a bitch right now. She's making life hard. But this is your journey.
Yeah.
You know, this is your hero story. Like, I'm okay with my children, not okay. If my children are like, my dad didn't show up, but I know my dad tried.